But, whoo! But that ink, oh my goodness, that ink flow is so nice coming out of this chisel. Wow. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Is It Worth It, where I go around the world and the internet looking for art supplies to make your life just a little bit easier, or for you to enjoy the craft just this much more. Now, today we are going to go back to our good friends Kingart. They've actually sent me a couple things which we will be reviewing over the next couple episodes, but I just wanted to say a big thank you very much for giving us these supplies so that we can review, so that you guys can get a great glimpse at some of the fantastic products that they have. If you look back, there are many episodes where I have reviewed Kingart stuff on my own, and now they've given us some of their professional line art supplies, so I'm really looking forward to checking these out and to share that with you. And today we are going to go with their marker set. Right, so this one is their double end marker set that's in their professional line, and this is their portrait palette. So I'm really excited at looking at these, and if history has shown us anything, Kingart has some great quality. But there's only one way to find out if it's actually worth it. So come on, let's go check them out. Alright, so I have to say right off the bat, right, looking at this, look, it comes in this awesome carrying case, right, for 24 markers, and that's it. Like, it comes with its own case. Like, how awesome is that? So right off the bat, their pro line, right, just I think stands above others, because look at this. It gives you, and it's a hard plastic case. It's not just some like cloth case or anything like that. It's an actual carrying case for your markers. I think that's amazing. It comes with a handle and everything. Fantastic. All right, so Kingart Pro Portrait Palette. It's a fine and chisel tip, alcohol based, 24 portrait color with coated caps, and then it says superior blendability. Okay. And then it gives you the colors, which is awesome. Their links and whatnot. But yeah, let's see. Ooh, and that is very secure. Although I'm really worried. I'd be really worried after a while, because the only way you can really get it off is to snap it over, and I'd be worried that over time, right, that's gonna break off. But as of right now, that is a very secure, right? That's a very secure lock. All right. Inside, I mean, those are your markers. You can see all this. Very orange for some skin tones, but all in all, right? The one thing that I don't like about this is how I know it's supposed to be so you can get them out, but the fact that it moves around so much is just a little bit for me. I really wish that they were a little bit tighter, like they just compress these, because you can always grab them, but just, I don't know, maybe a personal thing. All right, so let's see. So it is a square, right? So it doesn't roll too far. So that's nice. I have to say that the plastic itself, it feels plastic, right? Like you can feel it, and it's slick. So I think that adds to the actual feeling of it being plasticky. But it's a very sturdy marker, right? Like it feels really nice. It's not too small, not too big. And we got our colors on both sides, so it should be interesting to see if they match up. All right, so that's pretty nice bullet point. I'm interested because I've seen some that are a little bit sharper, so they can give you a smaller line, but sometimes it can actually be very deceiving. But it looks pretty sturdy. Seems like a lot of the ink is already in the marker tip, so you don't really have to worry about it being weird, like not having enough ink flow to the marker. That is a decent size chisel. Looks really, it's a standard chisel, looks good. Ink flows on there. You can already tell that when you put this marker down, the ink's gonna come out, very nicely. And let's see about the snap. Nice snap. Okay, so that's good. Make sure that it's nice and secure. Let's see if it posts. Got a nice post to it. All right, check that on both sides. right? So you don't have to worry about your marker caps flying away, so that's good. Also, something to note is that they have this little gray line, so the cap doesn't go all the way down, and it gives you this gray line, which indicates the fine tip, right? Which is a nice little add-on, right? Because they made this gray, so when it snaps down, you have this little line. So you always know which way the bullet point is supposed to be and which way the chisel is, just in case that's something that upsets you when you have to flip your marker around. But they did give you an indicator, which is nice. All right, so let's go ahead and try these out. As usual, just Bristol board, smooth 300 series. All right, so let's just go ahead and grab that yellow one again. Ooh, yep. Ooh, that's really nice. The flow is so nice. It goes all the way through. Okay, so you can see, I was worried about that. So you can, if you hold it more vertical, right, you can get these nice thin lines. Although when you do that, so what I'm noticing here, I don't know if you can really see that, but what I'm noticing here is that as you pull it across, it gets lighter because the ink's not actually supposed to be in the tip, right? So you have to kind of push. You'll have to push down to get the ink to come out, right? But once you get it going, it starts working, right? So once you actually have the ink inside of the tip of the marker, it does actually go really nice. But up front, right, because it's not supposed to be, you're not supposed to use it like this straight up and down, and so it's really, really hard to see, and it's a lot lighter than when I use the side of the marker, right? The side of the marker, it really gives you nice dark lines that you can actually see, and the other ones are just very, very light, right? So you can't see because there's not a lot of ink flow to the tip of the marker. Also, at the beginnings and ends of each marker stroke, it pools, right? So the ink is going it's going all the way, but it becomes a problem when you put it down. Like if you're trying to make hatch marks with it, you have to make sure that you start off in the ink line or somewhere off the page so that first initial ink flow can hit, and then you pull it. But if you're just going from one to the other, you'll always have these dots at the end of your line, and that could cause an aesthetic that you're not looking forward to. But that ink, oh my goodness, that ink flow is so nice coming out of this chisel. Wow. All right, let's see. You get some nice medium lines. So you can't, it's not necessarily, oh, there you go. So if you turn it, get certain sides, right, you can get a nice, you gotta make sure you hit that angle, right? But you can get something thinner if you need, but then also a lot thicker, and then just the super coverage. I mean, that's pretty darn nice. Now, I can instantly tell you that the color that's on the cap is not the color that comes out. Like this is supposed to be yellow, right? That's supposed to be yellow. It's not. It's more like a goldenrod, right? It's got more gold-ish and orange in it. So there's that. But then they also have Canaria yellow. I think this one's supposed to be more yellow. So this one's more yellow. All right. But it's definitely a darker yellow, which I think is going to work for your skin tones and whatnot. So it's not super bright. But I mean, you can look at those, and those two caps are not necessarily the color that's coming out. Oh, this yellow is a lot closer, but this one is definitely not. The cap and the color do not match. So let's try this one. This one says, well, this is a pearl white. Oh, that's a nice beige color. Yeah, you're probably not going to see that. This is very light. Like out with the bullet point is a very, very light beige color. I mean, you can still fill it in and make it the same as this, right? But like I said, look at how, I mean, you can't even, All right, you can barely even see that. That's nice. I mean, if you're trying to do some blending, having a color that can be like, you can see it, like I see it, but having a color that can be this light when it starts, and then you blend it, and you can go with a darker color and blend that more, that's going to be absolutely fantastic for blending. Let's see. What's next? All right, so that's way dark. So that is sand, the sand color. I mean, so the manufacturing of it works very well, right? So it's all consistent, it's very consistent. The ink flow comes out of these very, very nicely. So the only, I mean, that's pretty close. It seems like the only one that really had a problem was this yellow. That yellow is just really, really, really dark in comparison. That one is pale cream. So I think that a lot of these colors are starting to run a little bit darker than what would be suggested. Because I mean, it's a really dark color. I mean, and it's really hard to match the caps and the color. I think there's only been one that I found that actually the colors on the cap and the color in the actual marker match. But I mean, like I said, the ink flow, and there's so many skin tones here, right? So there's definitely a lot that you can play around with. And like I said, the ink flow on these are great. I think that if we used pearl white, this one, and possibly this one, we're gonna try and blend it. So I mean, these two, those would work well. These would work well together. I'm just trying to find, that's the thing, you always gotta try and find the right blend. Right, so okay. So I think we can we'll try these colors. Now I also have some red. Let's go ahead and show you this red. I don't know why you would have this strong of a color in the portrait, except for if you're trying to do like red lips or very, very dark red hair, because that is such a saturated color for all these nice skin tones, right? And such a nice variation, right? So you got some very saturated colors, but even in the skin tones, right, it does go to a darker. So they do have some nice browns, right? And I just cannot fight with the coverage of that chisel. Like, the chisel is probably my favorite part of these markers right now. The bullet's fine, but it kind of beads at the front and back, so that's kind of not as cool as I'd want it to be. But this chisel, just the ink flow of the chisel is just absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so see, they got a whole bunch of different skin tones and stuff like that, so that's good. Alright, but let's see here. So this was the light one, right? So we'll come in. Nope, that was not the light one. This wasn't it either. Oh no, I don't have the right color. Oh, it's right here. Nope, that's not it. This one? I don't know which way I'm going. Ooh, that's a nice blend right there. That one's like this color between this one and that one. Wow. Wow. Alright, so these two markers are so nice. And like I said, I grabbed the wrong color for this first one. But I mean, even with that said, like, that just blends. That is, whew. Look at that blend. Alright, and this one's still wet, so you might still see the shine on that one. But look at that, that's 3 different colors. That is, okay, I will have to agree. It's some superior blending in here. These are really nice to blend out. Wow, that's real nice. Very, very nice. Alright, let's try the ink test. So we've got Faber-Castell, as usual, right? We'll just grab a couple pens. and we will test to see how it works. There we go. These are Tombow. It's Tombow. Then I think we have a Stedler one, and then and let's look at Kingart's very own. Right, we did a review on their pens, so go ahead and check that out. So we're just going to use the skin tones that we just had right here because they seem like the lightest. And one of the hardest things to judge is whether or not the ink will pull up based on the alcohol content that is inside of the markers. And the best way to test that is to use the brightest colors and then see what happens, right? Because that generally has the most alcohol content in it. Is a really bright, the brighter colors, they're the ones that really have the issues. So we're also gonna take these bright orange and see what happens. And this red, since I have it. All right, here we go. Now, let's see. You might not be able to see it, but like I said, see with the red and orange, you can instantly tell that the alcohol content in that is less because it's not pulling on any of these, right? But as soon as we get to the lighter colors, that right there, right? You can see it. It starts pulling. So like on the Stedler, it pulled, the alcohol content pulled on the ink. Also on the Tombow, it pulled on the ink. A little bit with the Faber-Castell, I mean, like ever so slightly, it pulled on that. But then, like the Kingart one, nothing. So, if you are looking to get markers that have a nice, very nice blendability, great, they have a ton of different colors and stuff like that, but you're also looking to do some like comic art or some pen and ink work, you should pick up their brand. So Kingart markers and then Kingart fine liners and ink pens, because not a single smudge is happening there, not a single one. All right, so we just got done reviewing the Kingart Pro dual-ended marker, the portrait palette set, and there's a lot of great things going on here. Anything that you can complain about would be minimal, such as the cap and the actual color not being the same. But I think that once you actually know what you're working with and what you're playing around with, that's not going to be a problem, right? Also with the bullet tip, it's a typical bullet tip, so there's nothing really fancy there. And those were my two biggest complaints, right? The ink flow on some of the bullets and stuff like that. But outside of that, look at this case, right? 24 markers in this awesome hardcover case with a handle. It's got a lock. Instantly keeps your stuff organized. The ink flow on these things were absolutely fantastic as far as with the chisel. Like you can get a lot with the chisel, the thin, the medium, the thick, and then the coverage of it is just fantastic. I was very impressed by the chisel of this particular brand. And then, as they said, superior blendability. That's true. Like we used 3 different markers and they blended seamlessly. It was absolutely fantastic. Absolutely loved it. And so, I mean, yeah, you should get these. Kingart is once again putting out some solid products, and I highly recommend going to pick them up because they are definitely worth it. Well, that wraps up today's episode. I hope that this was helpful to you. If it was, please go ahead and give it a like and share it with someone who might actually need some insight on some markers that are out there in the world today. Now, if you have any products that you would like me to review, just go ahead and drop it in the comments below and I will add it to the list. Thank you all so very much, and I will see you at the next episode.